Here's a list of people's names that Kendra had gave me and came up with. I'm pretty sure I believe that this would be people in the Shasta County community or in Shasta County that are affiliated with One Safe Place and Family Dynamics Wellness Center, as well as like would be affiliated with either prostitution or illegal adoptions or child molestation. Rick Hannon, Vincent Kolarov, Tara Lauren McDonald, Lance L. Coleman, Dennis Zavredos, Joseph Jabbar, Lunchy Treen, whatever, Paul D. Burgess, Christian O'Donnell, Power, Michael Martin, Rooney, Ted R. Dozy, Roland L. Bennett, Martha Elizabeth Bennett, Paul D. Burgess, H.K. Drick. I guess that's H.K. Drick was the Instagram thing that they were saying that was mine. It wasn't mine. Okay, so what was happening originally was, and this is pretty easy concept to understand. Is like when Kendra was forced into prostitution, like the phone records, her phone records and locations and stuff that were on her phone from Sacramento, right? Like our phones or whatever. That was a huge amount of evidence. Okay, it was over a span of a year or so, right? And it was all her clients, like all the people that had hit her up, right? All these clients, right? It was also the law enforcement officers that she was talking to, as well as with Jason Lord. Okay, so having those phone records is a huge asset in an investigation, right? Now it's been 8 years, man, because like the first year that should have been investigated. Okay, well here's the deal. Okay, originally when Kendra got hurt in the hotel and she got hurt really bad in the hotel and she was hospitalized and the kids were abused and molested. Okay, that was supposed to be investigated, and what Kendra told me was the district attorney Stephanie Bridget tried to blame it on me and say I did it. Okay, and she said, and Kendra was telling me that basically like I'm under investigation, constantly, my phone, my computer. This is 8 years ago. Okay, that basically the DA, One Safe Place, and Reading Police Department had me under investigation. And I'm like, for what? Like, what did I do? Well, they want to blame you for what happened up here in the hotel. And I said, okay. And they want to blame me from the very beginning. So when you hear sealed records fucking story and all this fucking dude, everything that comes out of their fucking mouth is just complete fucking and utter nonsense. Okay, sealed records story or whatever, dude. I have no idea what they're talking about. There was some records that I wanted from One Safe Place from the very beginning. I wanted to be able to provide to Sacramento County or the State Attorney General's office so that I don't get blamed for the stupid shit that they're trying to blame on me forever for the past 8 years. Okay, so Kendra told me that there was some records, some CVS reports and police reports, and kind of what had happened to her. Okay, and the sealed records, I believe, were the time that they got molested at One Safe Place. All right. Well, the DA tried to pin that on me for a long time, right? For like years. Okay, for a year or so. And I would mess with local law enforcement on my phone all the time. I wasn't talking to local law enforcement. I was talking to whoever was investigating me on my phone. Right? Does that make sense now? It's like when somebody's on my phone messing with me constantly, then I'm just going to mess with them back, dude. Right? So I used to spend a lot of time just kind of like messing with them, like, oh, what did you guys find out today? Oh, a big major crime investigation. I just sat here and did nothing, just tease them all the time, right? Well, when I found out like what they were trying to say about me, right? Because Judge Gibson says that I raped Kendra and that she got a protective order against me in Sacramento. Like, none of that's true. Okay, that's all their excuse to justify keeping the kids up here and keeping her up here because she missed her court date. Do you see? Like, it's like this. This is how it is. Okay, and this is an easy way to describe it. Okay, every single thing that they do wrong, they have to justify it or make up an excuse. Okay, so when I say like nothing happened down in Sacramento, right? Like I literally mean like, dude, the story that she said and he and Judge Gibson said is like that never happened. Okay, so then people were like, okay, well, they'll prove it, right? I'm like, okay, how do I prove that never happened? Okay, well, um, he backdated the restraining order. Okay, Kendra never showed up for court date. Okay, so when I say okay, so I say okay, so Kendra never showed up for a court date in Sacramento. All right, so then now the county has to come up with an excuse on why she didn't show up for the court date. So they come up with a new excuse. And the new excuse is that she was fleeing her for her life and to keep her kids safe and blah 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 blah. And she came up here, and this is the only place that she could find to save her. You know what I mean? And then so they're like, okay, well, prove that they're lying about that. You know, prove the time that she was in the hospital. Okay, so years and years and years ago, this is years and years ago. Okay, I find out that they have like this police report from like November 9th, 2016, and that's when my daughter was molested, and they have a medical record and everything. And what they were trying to do is say that I did it, that I basically came up here and kidnapped her from one safe place and like hurt my kids, right, for whatever reason. Okay, so I had a medical. Actually was in San Francisco on that weekend, and had went to the hospital for for whatever reason, right? I went to the hospital and I had the medical record. So then, like their whole story, like their whole thing with the sealed record and this storyline, dude, of like me coming up here and hurting them, and like 2 weeks after they came up here, like this whole thing, dude, right? Because they're having to justify why she came up here in the first place. So if they're telling the state of California and they're telling everybody that I was trying to kill her, okay, and then I'm sitting down in Sacramento working and not giving a fuck and like not giving a care, right? Then they look stupid. Like, because I'm not trying to kill her, right? So they're basically like have no reason to keep her up here, right? So when I showed the medical record for November 9th, that shot up their case against me back then, even back then, right? So the only thing they could get me on, so this is funny, right? They got me on a violation of a restraining order, okay? And I didn't even violate the restraining order, dude. They actually just recently had to go back again in the case file and change the case file, the criminal case from 2016. Judge Flynn changed it. Okay, that's why Judge Flynn came out of retirement to get access to criminal records, because Judge Gibson wouldn't have access to that. Okay, he gets access to that record, and he goes back and changes it again, and says that I texted her and called her and came up here over 40 times. You know what I mean? Like it gets more outlandish every year. And that's what they have to do. They have to do that because their story doesn't make sense. So the state of California, right, and the let's say like the Supreme Court justices and the state of California and the Department of Justice and the state attorney general's office, right? Like they're asking these questions because it doesn't make sense to them either. So they're going, okay, like, wait a minute. Like, okay, why did she have to leave Sacramento? Like, why didn't she show up for her court dates? Oh, she was scared of her, for fear of her life. Okay. Oh my God. This is what happened while I was up there. Okay. Well, then why weren't the kids enrolled in school yet? Why didn't she have a house up there? Why did she end up in the hospital if she was up there? Why, you know what I mean? Like, why, like all these things, like why, right? Because the state of California is already aware, like this is abduction and this is not right. Okay. So then the county has to come up with a new excuse, like every year, every 6 months, every month. It's always something new with this guy. It's totally random every time, right? So if I'm showing like evidence of court paperwork that's forged or changed, right? Why would I change a filed stamp, a record of a seal? You know what I mean? And then not only that, but I swear to God, I've asked for, when I first got out of jail, which would have been December or November of 2022, is the first time I got copies, like a bunch of copies from the case file. In 8 years, dude. And that whole time, I couldn't get access to the case file. I swear to God. So I finally we'll go up there and get copies, right? And this new clerk, she was a super sweet girl, right? She's just basically like copied out half of the case file. I copied half of it, right? And she had it like, the girls in the clerk's office had it like stuffed aside. Okay, check this out. I go in there to pick it up, right? She tells me, dude, that her supervisor at the clerk's office flipped out on her, and Judge Gibson flipped out for making copies of the case file. Now that's pretty, if you think about it, right? Like that's pretty, what a coincidence, right? Like that's pretty self-explanatory right there. Judge Gibson does not want me to have access to the case file so I can get copies of it so I can find out what paperwork he forged or what paperwork's been changed, okay? Then not only that, but then her supervisor is involved in telling her that she can't make copies, okay? So I have something called like a cruise waiver, right? Where all the copies are supposed to be free, right? And she basically, the clerk's off, like all the clerks in the office, right, are going like, why can't he just get copies? He has a fee waiver, okay? Judge Gibson and this clerk tell her basically that that's not how the fee waiver works, that I can't just get free copies of the whole case file, that I have to get 10 pages a day, or 10 pages 10 pages a day. And it's like a 500 page like file. And I'm like, that would take me over a month to get 10 pages a day, right? And she goes, I'm sorry, but I guess there's like, she's like, I guess there's some rule. And then she's like, some thing that says in the fee waiver thing that you can't just get them all at once, that you can only get 10 a day, right? And I'm like, they told you that? And she's like, yeah. Okay, now if you think about that in my perspective and in my life, right? If I get 10 copies of case file, like the pages in the case file, and I come home and I scan those on my computer that they have access to, and I scan that on my phone or take pictures of it and they have access to it, then that doesn't help me, because what's going to happen is I'm going to come home and I'm going to start going through those 10 pages. I'm going to find the problems with it, or the forgery or whatever, right? I'm going to post that, I'm going to take pictures of it. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to email it to people, right? Whatever, right? Then they're going to see it and they're going to go back and change it before an investigator gets there. Do you understand? So I figured that out years ago. So I just stopped fucking doing it, dude. Like I wasn't going to fucking take pictures or fucking copy any of the paperwork that I had from my house until somebody came and got it and looked at it. Because I had already done that. I got a stack of copied paperwork from the case file that the clerk gave me, okay? And I went and brought it back home and I found a bunch of things that were wrong with it. So I'm not going to do 10 pages at a time, dude, if I find a bunch of things that are wrong with it. And then not only that, but if I have to take pictures, I have to make a video, I have to post it on Facebook, whatever it is, right? Because they're investigating me all the time, constantly, local law enforcement, all the time, right? So the minute that I talk about something being changed, this isn't my signature, that's not my son's birthday, whatever it is, right? They're going to go back to the case file and change it. You know what I mean? So like, that's why I was saying, like I said a long time ago, come get the paperwork from my house, grab the case file from the court, stop fucking listening to them, stop letting them lie to you, stop letting them change records in front of your face, or like in front of, every year, because dude, this is only half of what I had. 5 years ago, they were breaking in my house and stealing the records out of my house because they were so damning as far as prosecution against them. Okay? Now, I don't really give a shit. If Stephanie Bridget doesn't want to file charges against Judge Gibson and his pedophile buddies, then that's her fault. There's kids missing in our community, Stephanie. Wake the fuck up. But then not only that, but they blame everything on me or someone else. Or someone in my, like a friend of mine or a family member or whatever. Dude, they've been doing that for 8 fucking years. But not only that, like, I'm like, how do I put this? It's like, they're not blaming like my family for 8 years. They're blaming me for a year, and then that doesn't work out. So they're blaming my brother for a year, and then that doesn't work out. So they're blaming my mom for a year, and then that doesn't work out. So they're blaming her. You know what I mean? Like, it just goes back. It goes to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. So when I say like my family, I literally mean like they've gone through every person. Like, oh well, your niece was molesting kids. No, my niece doesn't fucking molest kids. Oh well, your dad was doing it. No, my dad doesn't molest kids. Oh well, your mom was doing it. You know what I mean? Like, that's how stupid this guy is. He's blamed every fucking person except for him, and Stephanie Bridges defended him the whole time. So that's why, like, when I say like, okay, well, I have DNA evidence to prove it. Okay. Well, local law enforcement has been aware that this has been going on at Kendra's house, and been and aware that I'm sure some of the police officers have to be aware that Judge Gibson's a pedophile piece of shit, and he's been molesting kids. So the reason why they don't want to come and get the DNA evidence is because they know for a fucking fact that Kendra was fucking, that my daughter was getting molested at Kendra's house. So if they know that, and they come over here and they get the fucking DNA evidence, then they know for a fact that they're in big fucking trouble. All of them. Every one of them, dude. Like, because there's been so many people that have answered phone calls or answered police 911 calls and police reports and CVS reports. And I've been saying this shit for 8 years to everybody. You know what I mean? It's a small community, so everybody knows, like, shit. He's got DNA evidence. Damn, dude. Like, what am I going to do? Because the DA would be fucking responsible. The judges would be responsible. Dude, I've literally sat in court in front of at least 10 judges in Shasta County for this case. At least. That means every judge. And they have rules and laws and regulations in the state of California where they have to report criminal activity. Like, so it's not a joke. It's not like a joke. It's not like dude, I would imagine, dude, that I'd imagine at least 90% or maybe 75% of the county employees right now want me dead. You know what I mean? Because they don't want to go to prison for life. Like, that's the bottom line. You know what I mean? Like they're going to want me dead because they don't want anybody to find out that they were involved. Now this is, I mean, and it just goes on and on and on. I mean, there's discrepancy after discrepancy after discrepancy. Okay, this is filed on March 2nd, 2020. Substitution of payee to Jacob. And it says the obligator to pay, person paying support is Jacob. Why would they have to redo a new order in March of 2020? For child support, when I've had child support for eight, like all the way back since 2017. Okay, well, I realized, dude, what happens is Judge Gibson goes back and changes the records, changes the court dates, changes the proceedings, right? Goes back and has to change the child support case to a different number because he doesn't want anybody to see the other one, because that's going to show that I was paying child support, or that's going to show that they were taking money out, or that's, you know what I mean? Like I found out, like, in 2019 and 20, I think 2019, that this place, One Safe Place, dude, they take your identity over, your kids' social security numbers and my wife's social security number, took over her entire life, insurance, kids' information, her information. Swear to God. Put the kids under different medical record numbers that HHS didn't even have didn't have access to or record of. Okay. So they're double billing, or they're like medical fraud, right? Then they're taking Kendra's identity and whatnot, and they're filing like lawsuits on her behalf, right? They're filing taxes on her behalf. They're getting tax money. And the whole time, Judge Gibson's telling everybody that it's because she owes us money and because she owes us this, or, the state didn't want to pay for the protective services, so she's going to pay it out of the taxes, and she whatever else. Every time he gets caught, like, breaking the law, like, literally, like, you're like, wait a minute, like, this is against the law. And he's like, yeah, it's because, she, the protective services from the state, so we had to go through the taxes. They always have an excuse. They're getting lame ass excuses now. I'm pretty sure they fucking have at least got rid of kidnapped witnesses in this county, or killed them. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's so crazy, dude. I wouldn't go anywhere or trust any of these people. The DA asked me to come to her office and bring paperwork, and I was like, fuck you. You're out of your mind. I'm not going to go near your fucking office. I'm not going near your office, the police department's office, or anything else. If anybody wants to come talk to me, dude, they better have fucking somebody like of importance with them, dude. Like, I'm talking like the vice president or the president of the United States to come with me, come to my house to pick me up. Because if two fucking black SUVs show up at my house with some suits in it, dude, I'm not leaving, dude. You know what I mean? Because I don't know if you're fucking FBI. I don't know if you're involved in this human trafficking. I don't know. I really don't, dude. I'm being honest. Like, I'm being serious. Like, dude, how do I know if like two sheriffs showed up right now or investigators or whatever? How would I fucking know that they're not part of this investigate or part of this human trafficking organization? How do I know? Like, that's how severe it's gotten, dude. Because Judge Gibson is a pedophile. He has molested my kids, and the county is covering it up. So this court date right here, this never happened, dude. Like this, it never happened, right? It says that I missed a court date, but whatever, right? This is how messed up this is. Okay, this is to the extent. This is how desperate Judge Gibson got in 2021. Okay. Kendra and Shelly Morgan and like Jason are talking through like I'd imagine like a third party or whatever to Judge Gibson. Okay, however it works, right? And they're making court dates for certain things to be covered. Okay, Shelly Morgan gave me some paperwork for a court date that Kendra filed. Like Kendra filed paperwork for like a request or whatever, right? And then they made a court date. Okay, and Shelly Morgan gave me that court date number. And then the court or whatever switched the court date, and so I couldn't show up. And so when you go through the case file and you see, and it says right here, that I'm not there, right? As far as this court date, right? And then, oh, you're not there, right? Okay, well, if you go on the freaking court website and you go on like the case docket information, or you go on the Shasta County Superior Court case information, and you see a court date that says 7/9/21, and it says I'm not there, I don't have the evidence to show you that I was there, or that, or, you know what I mean, or that I was supposed to be there. I don't have that, because I have paperwork from Shelly that says like a different court date number, dude. So yeah, I mean, like I missed this because I wasn't informed that there was a court date. You get what I'm saying? It's like status of children's counseling sessions and status of mother's visitation. Dude, when was this court date made? You know, because I would have the court order for this exact court date. So there's a reason why I didn't show up. Okay, you know what I mean? And then so the days, this is funny too. Like this is totally Judge Gibson. But the days that I didn't, like the day I didn't show up, right? Oh, the day I didn't show up, he goes back and changes the court minutes. Oh, Kendra Snyder sworn in and examined by the court as to speech therapy for the youngest child. Oh, well, that just justifies speech therapy. God bless.